Hey everybody, what's going on? Emo Tempest here, and we're back for the next set review. Today we're doing the win cards. I hope all your pulls have been majestic and you're getting the cards you need out there. For me, I'm struggling, but you don't need to worry about that. If you haven't yet, please make sure to check out the other videos if you're looking forward to hearing my thoughts on any of the other cards. And as always, I appreciate you listening. So let's get started, you guys. Alright, we have Alexander. I have mentioned this in all the videos, and I'll say it again. These cards, these summons are really good. And this one's going to stick out a little more, I think. So when a win forward has entered the field, this turn the cost required to cast Alexander is reduced by 4, so free. And you can either choose a forward of cost 5 or more, break it, or choose a monster, break it, and draw a card. This versatility in the meta that we have right now is absurd. There's a lot of, and with all the new monsters coming out, this is good sealed and what I predict to be a very interesting meta. Yeah, it's just really good all around. There's nothing wrong with this card. You should be able to play this at 2, if not hold at 3, and never not find ways to use it. You know, it's a very strong card, and I like it a lot. Vayne, this guy looks ridiculous. So FF12 console 4 cost 8k. When Vayne enters the field at the beginning of your or at the beginning of your main phase 1, during each of your turns, choose a forward. Choose one card removed from the game with a warp counter on it. You may remove a warp counter from it. When a warp counter is removed from any player's card, draw a card. This effect will trigger only once per turn. So it's a very strong card. It's going to definitely change the way we look at warp for the rest of the season, for the rest of the year, and honestly for the rest of as long as they keep printing warps and warp effects. It's so hard to deal with them sometimes, especially if your deck doesn't have an auto canceller. I'm glad this guy is just right in that Amaterasu range to kind of like make him suffer. But unfortunately, you can't stop all of him, right? Like he's just going to be a problem. I'm not sure if the warp, decks are going to be that crazy. I know we did get a lot of interesting cards, but this card is going to grow with those. So I think it's a very good card. As far as cost goes, if you have the full arts, hold them because they should go up. In sealed, not so much, unless you pulled the the Emperor in those. But I think as a card, as a legendary, he's a very strong card. I think he should see play. How and what's the best way to utilize him, we don't know. We have Charlotta, we have Theodore, like I said, the new Emperor, Luna Freya. There's tons of cards. It's just how do we pair it and how do we make it work right. Next is Wool. When Wool enters the field, if there are exactly 3 different elements among characters you control, you may search for a multi-element forward and add it to your hand. I think this card was great. This card was great for me in sealed. I love this art. It's so much fun. I think this might see some play in weird tricolor decks. I'm thinking like ninjas. Because you have wind, fire, and lightning usually, or anything with wind, right? I don't think there's too many tricolor decks that rely on wind, but if this set brings those to light, because of all the new monsters and stuff like that, and all of some of the new combos, this card's gonna squeeze its way in there because searching for a multi-element card is very good, or just the search in general, getting you that key piece, right? Like your important one. Evray, probably one of the best cards in the set. Choose a backup you control, activate it. You can only use this ability during your turn and only once per turn. 2 things I want to say about this card. 1, again, very busted, very broken. Pretty much having 6 backups is like what this is saying. 2, do yourself a favor, guys. Have your opponent tap this or something so you can keep track of it in games. Because I'm pretty sure this is going to be the next card that everyone soft cheats with. And you need to make sure you're not falling for it. If no one said that yet and you heard it here first, please comment and let me know that whether you agree or disagree. All in all, busted card, great card. If you're playing wind, you're playing this card. If you're not playing wind, find a way to put this card in your deck because it's going to help you tremendously. Emerald Weapon. When a weapon is discarded from your hand due to your opponent's summons your ability, you may pay 1. If you do so, play Emerald Weapon from your break zone onto the field. Deal on an S. Emerald Big Bang. Deal 2,000 damage for each backup your opponent controls to all the forwards your opponent controls. That S is not like it should be for every backup on the board. Because if my opponent's just like discarding me and aggroing me out, then I'm not really getting backups, or they don't really have backups. So it's such a weird like combination of effects. I think it's cool to have an effect like this in in general, but I don't know if it'll be played. I don't think we use cards like these for counters to stuff like that. Not just yet, right? Like not just yet. Thief. If Thief is dealt damage by your opponent's abilities, that damage becomes 0 instead. When Thief enters the field, if his cost to cast Thief was paid with 3 colors, your opponent puts the top 3 cards of their deck into the break zone. I think I didn't read this first effect the first time I saw this card, or when I played it actually. I probably kept pitching it, that's why. A pretty decent card. I like this extra, effect here that it's got. Again, unfortunately though, I think outside of this... Actually, no, I lied. There might be a world where this makes it into a mill deck with the Chibukis. It's not a bad card. You should have a way to play multicolors when you're playing that other deck. So, your opponent puts the top 3 cards of their deck into the break zone. That's a pretty big hit. Between stuff like this, Paul, and the Chibukis, we might have another mill deck. I'm not gonna build it, but if someone does, he might make his way in there. Sid Highwind. Return. Oh, let me go back again. I did say this was good and sealed, and I stand by that as well. Mainly because most people play 40 cards for some reason. I know why they do it, but I disagree with it. I usually like to stay at 45, so I don't deck out first. But this will really push them, push their buttons if they deck out. So another reason it's very good and sealed. Sid Highwind. You can tap, return a Category 7 character other than Sid Highwind to its owner's hand. Choose 2 characters, activate them. You can only use this ability once per turn. This is an interesting effect. I love how it says return 1 Category 7 character other than Sid Highwind to its owner's hand. Really. So, in a weird way, you can send back all your opponents. Like, not all of them, just you can send back a forward from your opponent and activate 2 cards. And also, if you have your, you can send back your Cloud from this set and play it again. To kind of break 2 forwards and stuff. There's a lot of possibilities with the Sid Highwind. He's pretty cool. I don't know if the Sid Highwind part or the 7 part or the engineer part is gonna be super helpful, but he is an H, so I'm concerned. I'm not concerned that he won't be playable. He is. It's just how do we best utilize this effect? So. Either way, being able to activate your 2 characters is very good. Again, you can send something of your opponents back to their hand, and then you activate stuff and keep playing cards. So, win-win-win. White Mage. Put White Mage in the break zone, choose a multi-element forward from the break zone, add it to your hand, and damage 3. When White Mage enters the field, choose up to 2 backups, activate them. Yeah, this one's very good for our cast count friends. Pretty much any Wind X combination is going to work well with this. Because you have clouds like Lock, Barrel Eye, Hope. Now in Lightning you have the new Cloud, and some of the older ones. Wind, Fire has the new Vaughn, the new Zidane. There's so many new multi-element cards that coincide with Wind that just seems like a good reason to play this card out, for any reason. And at damage 3, just pretty much free. Let's go. This card is I heard is already making its way auto into most Wind Ice cast counts, but I'm sure other people are going to be using this as well. So, Zoo. When a dual character you control is activated due to your summon or abilities until the end of the turn, Zoo also becomes a forward with 8,000 power. This effect will trigger only once per turn. Yeah, so if you have Evray in this and just about you're sealed, you should be all right. But yeah, there's so many ways to do this, and Everay's gonna be not a problem to help you with this. I don't know if you'll play it honestly, because it doesn't really do anything else for you other than just become a forward. And it's it's not super crazy. For that 2CP, you're playing Atomos, or you're just playing other monsters. Yeah, that's all. It doesn't do much else than just fight, so it's not really a big deal. I guess being able to have multiple copies of it is a good idea, right? You can choose to trigger them all on your own turn whenever you want. And they kind of have that protection, which is pretty much what we're like looking for, right? So we'll see. Sarah Mobius, Raven Pyrrhus. Category Mobius forwards you control gain 1,000 power. So I like that Wind now has the Searcher and the Banner, or the Anthem, whatever you guys want to call it. So very interesting. I don't know if Mobius fans appreciate that, but I do not, because I want it in Earth Water. Sophie Warp One. When Sophie enters the field, select up to the same number of following 3 actions as forwards you control other than Sophie. Choose a monster, break it, activate all the backups you control until the end of the turn. Sophie gains 2,000 power and haste. A lot of good, man. Wind keeps getting like monster hate too, which is gonna be great for mirrors. Again, more Sophies. This one's pretty good, not bad. Compared to the Vayne, it might see some play just to share some colors and draw cards, because a Warp One is pretty good. You can facilitate these, so I like it as a card too. The versatility isn't bad, so when it comes in, you can choose to like activate everything to do other stuff, or in a weird way you could warp this, pay the Vayne, bring her in, draw a card, activate everything, play something else, blah blah blah. There's a lot of ways to do it, so it's a decent card. Buddy. When Buddy enters the field, you may search for category 10 backup and add it to your hand. Another very good backup facilitator, right? We like backups that search backups, right? And this card literally just does that. There's already enough, no restriction, right? Just another category 10 backup. This card will grow with more 10 cards as well. Future proof. It'll probably be our next Norse Talon or whatever. So should be fun. And if you guys don't remember who this is, he flies the airship or the Ragnarok, I think, in 10-2. Gramps. Backup, 2-cost backup EX burst. When Gramps enters the field, choose a forward of cost 4 or more, break it. Not too excited about this one, but mainly because it's a damage 5. I don't need this. Like, I'm not hurting my head for when to play this. I don't like backups that you have to hold sometimes. That was my problem. As much as I like the Kimari from last set, that was my problem with him. And this is just waiting too long for something, so. Bart. I'll put Bart to the bottom of its owner's deck and draw 2 cards. So, I love that it says its owner's deck, so in case someone steals this or finds a way, you can use its effect on your opponent and send it to their deck, but you draw 2 cards either way. It's not a bad card. Again, in sealed, it was very fun to use. I don't know if it'll replace some of the other Barts and stuff like that, but maybe it does. Who knows? Maki Chibuki. Tap, your opponent puts the top card of their deck in the break zone. You can only use this ability once per turn. Again, the people like mill decks. I don't know why, but they do. Alternate win cons are a thing. And I think we got cards this set to kind of, cater to those players, and I'm happy for them. I'm just not sure it's going to be very strong, but we'll find out. I know, Materia Cups are on their way out, are coming up. So, Matoya, sorry if you guys hear my dog snoring in the back, but he's passed out from a great day of being a dog. When Matoya enters the field, choose a forward. Its power becomes 4,000 until the end of the turn. For 2 wind and 1 colors, put Matoya into the break zone and deal 4,000 damage to all the forwards your opponent controls. I like this card. It's not super expensive. They don't have to work together on the same turn. So, there's no... I when I first read it, I think I was like, come in, reduce, and then pay the kicker, and then send her, right? Now, you can come in, she can hold her own, you can block, and then, 4K people if you needed to, right? So it's like... I don't know. It seems it's not the worst card. It's not the worst Matoya we've ever had. I think it might see some play. It is another dancer, and dancers already have. I don't know if that's Pinello or whatever. No, those are actually the Warrior of Darkness people. So, the Pinello is good for reducing like people's power as well, if I remember correctly. So there's a world where these cards come together. And then going new Riku, while paying the cost to cast category 10 cards, if Riku is on the field, Riku can produce CP of any elements, which is nice. We just got something very cool like this for FF8. I wish we would get other stuff for FF8, but that's not the point. For FF10, this is very good. FF10 is already scattered across a bunch of different colors. Fire, water, wind, ice, and earth. You know, we can go through them all if you'd like, but that's another video. And, you know, now we can kind of facilitate all of those very interesting cards. So, between this and Buddy and Brother, you've got a pretty solid backup line in 10. So, and that's it for us here. Again, if you want to know more about the multicolors, please check out the multicolor review. For me, Evray is a 10 out of 10 here. Alexander's a close followed behind White Mage, and then close ones following that are gonna be Wool, Vayne, and the Buddy Riku combo. Mainly because I'm not saying they're bad. It's just these cards are really gonna outshine some of the other cards in this meta, especially Evray. Some might say this is the best card in the set. So if you agree, definitely leave it in the comments below. And if you don't, what do you think the best card in the set is? As always, guys, thank you for listening and thank you for watching. If you have any questions, always leave them in the description. And in the meantime, happy deck building. Take care.